What is up everyone, and welcome to another Super Smash Bros. Ultimate video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing over 3 ways of how to practice with Kazuya. I've seen a lot of people asking for this in the comments, especially when it comes to how I practice electrics and how to practice the movement with Kazuya. So even though I don't have an extra switch, I don't have enough space on the Switch to actually download the training mod, which means I'm stuck with regular old Smash Ultimate training mode, which, as we all know, isn't the best for any type of training whatsoever. I've come up with a few different ways of how to actually practice the different things with Kazuya, because Kazuya is very input reliant. You have to basically, if you want to be successful with Kazuya, you always have to be performing at your best. You always have to have your hands warmed up. You need to be able to do the inputs that you need without any hesitation whatsoever, basically any time in the match. So I'm going to be going over different ways that you can use regular training mode to practice with Kazuya. Before we start today's video, make sure to subscribe down below. We're almost at 800 subscribers, and if you guys want more of these types of Kazuya content vids, make sure to stick around for them. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. So the first thing that I want to start off with is practicing some of Kazuya's basic movement, which is his crouch dash. As you know, I made a video a few weeks ago that I'll link in the description, and you should be able to click it in the top right corner right now, about how to do the crouch dash cancel with only 2 inputs. As you can see, I can do it like that, and the whole point of this is that his body is invincible on frames 2 to 5 when you're doing this, which means this is Kazuya's easily best approach option, rather than, obviously, as you know, normally a character would have to dash forward to or run forward at your opponent to approach them. Kazuya can instead approach with his crouch dash, and it makes it almost an invincible approach if you get the inputs framed perfect. This is really good against projectiles. For example, on Elite Smash, I know it can go under Link's arrows. Young Link's flame arrows, which is really good for approach, which is something that most characters cannot do, so you can go in and punish that. But the way that I like to practice this, or the way I got it down, obviously there are multiple ways to practice this, because if you are good at it, you will be good at it. But if you guys didn't watch that video, the inputs for this crouch dash are forward on the analog stick and down on the C stick a frame later, so it sounds like this. I don't know if you can hear my controller inputs, but it's going to sound like that. So you're going to go like, so you'll be doing like a 1-2 input on your controller, and you'll be able to do that over and over again, so you can crouch dash multiple times in a row like that. And the way that I practice this is I try to take your opponent, and this works in both directions. You can take your CPU, or the opponent's CPU, to 35 or 40, which is the last part over there, and then you run all the way back, and you stay here and you run all the way to the beginning, and you try to crouch dash without doing a single input mistake all the way to your opponent. So as you can see, when I do crouch dashes sometimes, as you can see, I've pretty much gotten it down, but like there, I did a down tilt instead because I messed up the inputs. And then what I do is I run all the way back and I start it again. And what I do is I do this until you can reach the CPU. And once you do eventually reach the CPU, I would say that's when you've gotten down a good grasp of this. So I would recommend always starting your Kazuya sessions with doing this input, because it just warms up your hands as well. And then obviously the way you do it the opposite is by, you can just restart and push your opponent all the way to the 0 right here, to the ledge there, run all the way to the 40 or the 35, depending on where you like to go, and just do it all the way back. You need to be able to do this input perfectly all the way down and back. Obviously, if you're messing up, go back and start over, run back. That means you made a mistake. And if you can't get this far, because I know a lot of you guys are going to be practicing it, make sure to mark. I just grab a sticky note. Just mark where your record is, or how many you can get in a row. And each day, try to go at least 5 more. So if you're only able to get, say, like 4 or 5, and you can only get to like 35, or you can only get to 30, I would say mark down a sticky note to try and get to 30. You got into 30, right? And you're at 30. I'd say mark on a sticky note, and your goal for the next day should be to get at least 25. The next day should be to get at least 20. The next day should be to get at least 15. And by the time you get to 20 and 15, you should be getting down the actual inputs of it. So you should be able to get past that, and you'll probably be able to raise your the difficulty will probably decrease exponentially, because you are getting better at the input. I will say that if you practice it more going to the right first, it can be a little tricky to remember the inputs to the left, but this is the best way that I found to practice the crouch dash. Next is to practice EWGF. Now EWGF is a little bit harder to practice just because you don't want to re-input it at all. So make sure you don't, because I have an automatic kind of muscle memory of just resetting every time I miss an electric. So whenever you practice electrics, I just recommend it's similar to the crouch dash training technique. Just sit here and try to do electrics. And every time you miss an electric, just go all the way back. Eventually you will get down the inputs. Obviously I just started up playing again, so my hands are not warmed up at all, so I'm still missing electrics and I still have not warmed up at all. But as long as you're practicing the motion of the electric and you can get it over and over again, like I got 2 there, and just like for before with the crouch dash, try to record your inputs. Make sure that you are recording how far you're getting each day, and try to do this for at least, I would say, if you can practice, I know this is probably a lot of time for a lot of people, but if you're really committed to Kazuya and you want to practice this for like 30 minutes a day, I think you'll get electrics down in no time. I still haven't gotten them down, and there are still a few different things that I need to practice them out of. But the last thing that I wanted to talk about is his combo game. Combos are a little bit harder to practice because you can't set your opponent in a certain position when you reset, like the training mod. It will automatically reset your opponent to 0 and you'll be in this position. So there are a few basic combos that I would say that are definitely worth practicing. Is doing simple stuff like being able to do like nair into grab, or like nair into fair, stuff like that, or like fair into grab. That's a basic combo that all Kazuyas should know, because when you're doing your movement, right, you're keeping your opponent out, you're doing all that, you need to be able to do your new nair grab or fair grab in neutral just to start your combos, right? So if you're not able to do that consistently, if you're not always able to get the grab off of fair, you should definitely be practicing that for at least 10 minutes every day. After that, I would say practicing your electric combo starters, which I'll make a completely different video off of, but just doing like grab, practicing electric stuff like that, just doing that over and over again. And since your opponent is really close, you can run up and grab, do it again, right? So doing that over and over again, I would say for about 15 minutes, just practicing your different confirms off of grabs. Obviously there are situational confirms, like you can do back tilt like that and it will combo if your opponent doesn't do anything, certain things like that. Or practicing your normal inputs, like sometimes if you're not getting the rage drive down, I recommend just practicing that input over and over again, resetting once you run out of tries, and then practicing again just to get the muscle memory down. Like the thing I need to practice the most, honestly, is this little guy. I barely pull off the breaking grab in an actual match, and it's really good. Like 28% is ridiculous for a grab, but I almost never pull it off in an actual match because the input is really tight and I just don't practice it. So if you guys have any more questions about things you can practice with, I'll be making a video about Kazuya's confirms that into electrics and how to start electric chains. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like down below if it helped you out. Make sure to leave a comment down below if you have any questions about how to set any of these training combos up, or if you have any other methods that you'd like to suggest, make sure to leave them in the comments down below. I love reading your comments, and I'll always make videos on ideas you guys have, especially if I think they're going to help out a lot more Kazuya players. But without any further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.